Alright guys, so the developer live stream just ended going over the patch 1.1.0 that took place this week on the 18th. Again, you guys already know how I feel about that patch. Not a huge fan of it. I think the whole community as a whole was very upset with it. I did understand why it happened because there were some things that were obviously really overtuned, and the developers talk about that, and they do state that they are going to revert some of those changes. Specifically, some of the big changes that I'm very happy to hear is Barbarian and Sorcerer are getting a buff. Specifically, from what I could understand, it seems like it's going to come in the form of their aspects. I don't necessarily know about like passives and stats yet. We have to wait and see. I don't want to tell you guys false information without knowing for sure, but from what it sounded like, it sounded like they're going to rework their aspects to make them more in line because they nerfed a lot of them. Another thing that we are getting in a couple of weeks, it looks like, is an extra stash space. Yes, one extra stash space, but that's good because at least they're listening, at least they pushed it out sooner and we don't have to pay for it, so that is a plus. And on top of that, they said that they are going to increase the potion capacity to 99. That should really help because for me in my stash, I have a lot of potions, just multiple stacks of the same potion, but they just can't stack. So that's going to really help out a lot. I think this is a great, quick, like, let's get this out there, let's fix it. They touched on a lot of things, talking about how they're going to revert the experience nerf that they did. So that's pretty exciting. And something that I really like that they're going to be doing is they said that before they release a patch, they're not gonna just mega drop a huge nerf update like 2 days before the season. They're gonna kind of drop it about a week before, and they're gonna actually have a live stream to go over the patch, so they can communicate and talk about it. Which next Friday, that is what's going to happen. There is going to be a live stream going over the new Sorcerer and Barbarian buffs and some of the changes of quality of life coming into the season. The nice thing is that I'm very proud of with this development team is they're actually pushing this out before mid-season. A lot of developers usually wait till like mid-season, the end of the season, the start of the next season to really like push like a major fix, hot fix out to the community. So I think that is a huge W on Blizzard's part. Also, they talked about Uber Uniques. Someone asked them a question on Twitch saying that basically mathematically the Uber Uniques don't serve a purpose because they're basically you can't get them. So what's the point of like making them in general? And one of the directors, Joe, said that they are looking at increasing the rate at a rate where you can expect to get one, but don't expect it to be something common, but also don't expect it to be something you will never get, which is good news because again, I do agree with him when he made the statement that says these uniques are big spikes in power. Obviously, some of them we all know are kind of garbage, but let's say like the Shaco, for example, or the Grandfather Sword, like those two to me look insane. And if I could get those on my builds, they would be just night and day difference. Then they made a good point saying that these Uber uniques are not necessarily supposed to be like part of your build. They're more of like, hey, there's this really cool thing that's gonna give me a lot of power. If I can get it, that would just be super cool. So I do think they need to get buffed because again, like, yeah, that needs to happen. Now, something I want to talk about with the nerfs that they did as well. They did kind of mention that um they also talked about nightmare dungeons in terms of this nerf and like how they nerfed the experience, but they also talked about they kind of explained why they did their nerfs. And a big tie into that was Nightmare Dungeons. And basically, what they were saying was, in order to complete, let's say, a tier 100 Nightmare Dungeon, you had to basically run a specific build, which is very true. Like all of us who are playing Diablo hardcore, we all know that you have to run X, Y, and Z if you want to do tier 100. I think any build that you make currently in the game can get you to about tier 40 to tier 60. And then once you're pushing past that, you're really going to have to shift into the meta in some way. Maybe you don't have to follow it exactly 100%, but you're going to have to be about 99%. The only thing that's going to really make your build difference is like a skill or something that you're using differently, or maybe a different aspect. For the most part, you're going to have to follow it to a T as you push higher to your number dungeon. So again, that does make me happy. They did say that what they're planning on doing is bringing down the difficulty of a tier 100 to the difficulty of a tier 70. And again, I think that's good news. Honestly, I do. I still think it's gonna be pretty hard. I'm pretty sure it won't be that easy. But again, I do agree with the concept that Nightmare Dungeons aren't supposed to be like typically the hardest content in the game, but they're supposed to be challenging to test your build in like in a very dense, populated dungeon. So I do agree that like that's definitely a good change. Um, Another good talking point they made about that is they kind of were talking about how They want like specific builds to shine, and that's why they did the nerfs that they did. Again, it makes sense, but at the same time it doesn't, because they nerfed a lot of things, and they went into deeper, like for example the sorcerer, they nerfed crits, crowd control, and vulnerable damage, right? And they went into the sorcerer class and nerfed the sorcerer's damage, like passive, that every variant of the sorcerer uses. So again, that part didn't make sense, but I'm glad to hear that they're going to go back and they're going to buff the class again. To the degree, unsure. Another thing they talked about is they're going to improve crowd control. That is something they talked about. They said that they do understand that that like it's not fun to be perma frozen. They even like acknowledge it, saying yeah, like it's not fun to constantly be stunned. There's nothing you can do about it. And one of the game directors, Joe, literally said that our CC like abilities could be better. So pretty much he's basically saying like what we have in the game is kind of trash, and we need to give players more options, to like more abilities to basically fight crowd control, which is true. I personally think they should just add a CC immunity where like if you get CC'd, you have like 3 seconds of where you have CC immunity. I think that should be a thing, because I don't think constantly being stunned is fair. Like I don't like, for example, there's some classes that can really like take advantage of it. Like I'm playing Druid right now, as you guys know. And on Druid, I'm running around the map and I just feel like a god, destroying everything. I'm never stunned. I have 3 ways to break Unstoppable. One of my Unstoppables lasts literally for like 10 seconds. I'm like running around with Bulwark on. So compared to my Sorcerer, where like my Unstoppables are like instant. But yeah, guys, honestly, major W on the developer live stream. They brought up a really good points. The gem tab and the resistance changes are looking to come in at season 2. They talked about leaderboards. They talked about are coming in season 3. Again, guys, I just wanted to keep this video short, just kind of give you like the most important bits of the information. The devs did listen. They're reverting some of the changes. For some of the people asking about the seasonal realm and the eternal realm, will the eternal realm get content that the season will get? That's not going to come to the game, unfortunately, because if you think about it, how else are they going to get you to play seasonal content if they do not have you going into the season, right? If you stay in the Eternal Realm, how are you going to do that? And also looking at it from another perspective, too, I was playing today, because this is my first Diablo experience playing a seasonal character, starting from scratch, leveling up. And I was thinking about it, I was like, man, okay, if they really added the seasonal mechanics to the Eternal Realm, and you guys are probably going to dislike the video for me saying that, I don't think I would keep playing Diablo. And what I mean by that is you don't have like there's no point in engaging in that content, because that content is there to like make your leveling experience better, if that makes any sense. So I kind of agree with the direction they're going from playing the season, because this is my opinion. Of course, people might have a different experience than me or have a different point of view, but I'm looking at it like, if I went in and I played and I got on my level 100 sorcerer and they added these malignant hearts, I mean, cool, right? And I think the nice thing about them releasing the patch when they did before the season was like it dropped all the legendary gear, all the unique gear before the season came out. When I got on my sorcerer, I was like, man, I don't really like want to go grind that stuff and go get it. You know what I mean? Because it's like what's the point? Like the only thing I care about my Eternal Realm characters is designing them to beat Uber Lilith and to go PvP and just to see what kind of end game content they have. I know a lot of people, including myself, are kind of on the fence of like what's the point of the Eternal Realm character if it doesn't get to engage in seasonal content and stuff like that. And I do understand that, and I'm pretty sure as time goes on, my opinion on this topic will change. But for right now, I understand seasons. I get them. It makes sense. I'll use a game comparison real quick. Destiny, for example. Destiny's a good example of this. Destiny, every season, if some of you play Destiny, you understand like every season they drop like a new activity, new little storyline, etc. Kind of like Diablo, very similar, right? But in Destiny, though, every season you have to grind power. You have to upgrade your gear. You have to chase better weapons. You got to follow the meta, like, you know what I mean, like stuff like that. But like in Diablo, they're not increasing player level. They're not increasing like something like that. You're not getting the ability to level up and get more Paragon points. So if they did that for a 3 month period, like, if you really think about it, if you think about it, like you're gonna go and what's what I'm looking for? You're gonna go and play for like a week and then never play again. Just that's something to consider, I guess, thinking about it. I want you guys to really tell me how you feel about the seasonal content because I know that is a huge issue with the community. I'm kind of going on a ramble about the same subject, but main takeaways, guys: Sork and Barb are getting buffed. They're going to be adding a stash tab in the next couple of weeks. Potion capacity getting upgraded to 99 slots. What else is coming in the update? They are going to rework the difficulty of Nightmare Dungeons to make them more in line. They're going to be looking at upgrading some legendary aspects to bring them up. In terms of like damage to more specifically increasing stats, that was not specifically confirmed other than just, hey, we are going to buff the weakest classes in the game right now, which is the Barbarian and the Sorcerer, which everyone can agree on. Anyways, guys, this was kind of my little feedback from it. Again, very proud of the developers for coming out front, really talking about this stuff, being really genuine. And honestly, guys, if some of you guys watched the live stream, I don't know about y'all, but I was very impressed that they actually were answering like legit questions from Twitch chat and not stupid questions. Like they like in the past live streams they were asking like the dumbest questions. I'm gonna go on record and say this. I think when Rod Ferguson is there, all the dumb stuff happens and no good information comes out. But with these devs just being there without Rod, they did an amazing job. Kudos to them. They definitely won my trust back. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys next Friday with the next developer update.